equity, equity, equity. That's what we're going to be talking about today. What is it? How do you use it? How do you leverage it? Understanding it in real estate is probably one of the most important fundamental concepts of knowing how to become a multimillionaire. Kris Krohn with Limitless TV, and that's where we're headed today. So this is one of the most elemental concepts in all of real estate. You need to understand what equity is. And today in talking about the three types of equity, let's just start with this very basic definition of what is it. So here's the example. If I show you a house right here, and let's say that this house has a value right here of $100,000, but what I owe is $50,000, then the question is, how much equity do I have? If it's worth $100,000 and it's half paid off with a $50,000 balance left, then the equity right here is $50,000. So $50,000 of equity, man, I could use that to go buy another house. I could sell this and buy 2 more houses. And remember, in real estate, from the investor's point of view, we look at real estate and equity. More equity usually equals a higher cash flow. A higher cash flow equals a more residual income. The more equity you have, the more homes that you can buy. So equity is something that I really like a lot. So let me show you now the 3 different types of equity that exist, all right? The first type of equity is called sweat equity. So here's the deal on sweat equity. Sweat equity says, here's this house, and this house right now, it has a value of $100,000. And I was able to purchase this house for $80,000. So when I say that I owe $80,000 left on it, but this house is a special kind of house because it's a fixer-upper. I bought it in really horrible condition, and it's worth $100,000 in horrible condition. However, I bought it knowing that if I were to put some money into it and put some sweat equity in and fix it up, that new value could change to $120,000. Okay, you've heard of people doing this before. You watch those TV fix and flip shows, right? This is essentially the concept, is people are making a play at sweat equity. There's the possibility of more equity, but I gotta sweat, which means I gotta work the tools and I gotta drop in some carpet and some paint and fix holes in the walls and solve problems. If I solve problems, I can walk into equity. Me as the investor says, all right, cool, I can buy it for $80,000. It might only be worth $100,000 a day, but if I put in $5,000 or $10,000 worth of work, I'm going to get an immediate awesome ROI on that. I'm going to get that value up to $120,000, and in this case, I would have how much equity? $80,000 is what's owed. $120,000 is now what it's worth. There's a $40,000 equity gap. And again, why do I like that? More equity means that I got more of the house paid off, which means more cash flow. More cash flow equals more residual income. This is muy bueno, good stuff. All right, so that's the first one. Now, the second one that you're probably more familiar with is what I call patient equity. And what this means is, hey, I'm not an investor. I'm not trying to get a deal. Kris, I understand that that's your frame of reference, but I'm just a typical buyer that wants a home for my family. And when I went out into the market, I found a home that was worth $100,000, and I put just a basic down payment on it. You know, if it was a first-time homeowner's purchase, I put 3 or 5% down. I'm essentially probably going to owe around $95,000. And right now, there's like really no equity in this home. However, what does real estate do with time? It goes up in value, and it does so looking a little bit more like this. But if you take all the bumps and bubbles and all that out, it's constantly going up in value. So patient equity says, if I just wait 5 years, my house at a 5% growth rate, if that's what's happening in my market, that might compound, and perhaps in 5 years, my home is worth $120,000. Thank you, inflation. I could sell that later and actually get $20,000 out of it. This is not, I want to be really clear, this is in fact a horrible investor strategy. Don't play the market with no equity, because if you get in a pinch, if you get in a bind, if the cash flow's not there, if there's a vacancy, you can't really sell this and do well with it. You're forced to stay there for a period of time. But appreciation or patient equity, it is something very real. Now, what I'm going to do in this next segment is I'm going to share with you my favorite kind of equity is what I call pirate equity. Pirates, what do pirates do? Well, it's not the best connotation, right? They plunder. But one of the things that they do is they're always hunting down buried treasure. This is something I like to do. There's a small percentage of the population at any given time that is selling a house, and they're selling it below market for some type of reason. And I believe I can find homes that don't require a whole lot of sweat equity, meaning for every home you find that's a great deal because it's a fixer-upper, I'm going to find a deal that is not a fixer-upper. And on this situation, the fare of the day might be having a house that's valued at $100,000 that I can purchase for $65,000 just by treasure hunting. These deals do not come around very often, but the deal of the decade comes along about once a week. And what that really means is there's houses out there in the marketplace, and you look at today's market and there's a lot of people saying, oh, you can't get a good deal in the marketplace. And I just smile, because if enough of the people believe that there's not a good deal out there, guess what? I'm doing a commercial deal right now with $750,000 of equity. It was there, it was available. It was just mislisted, and the owners, very successful, and they don't care to sell it at its market value. They just want to dump it and they want to be done with it, right? These deals, they're out there, they can be found. And so be a pirate, go treasure hunting. You can watch some of my other videos where I'm going to tell you how to hunt down deals with a lot of equity. And you know what? You could even click the link below and then have my team who goes around to the best markets in the country, and we're constantly digging up buried treasure and then teeing them up to you and making them available for you. And so those are your three different types of equity. That's what equity is. You got your sweat equity, which means put in some labor and increase the value. Patient equity, appreciation happens with time. Pirate equity, just go find a house with a lot of pirate booty right now. Thank you for watching today's video. I hope that equity is way clearer for you now. And we also threw in some extra tidbits on what kind of equities are out there and what you can build to make sure that you create financial success for your future.